Directors, distinguished shareholders, it's 11 a.m. Can we rise for the national anthem, please?
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear nation. Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace, oh, bow to honor it, and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children a banner without stain. Oh God of all creation, grant these our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
Distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the 8th Annual General Meeting of VFD Group PLC. The time is now 11 a.m. I now call on Bukola James Cole, the representative of the registrars, to announce the attendance report and confirm if a quorum has been formed.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, esteemed directors, regulatory officers present, and distinguished shareholders. At the beginning of this meeting, we have shareholders, 12 shareholders present virtually, and 56 shareholders represented by proxies, with a total of 218,965,198 shareholding, which accounts for 86.42% of the company's issued share capital. With this information, we hereby confirm that a quorum has been duly formed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar. Following the announcement made by the Registrar, I therefore have the pleasure of declaring the meeting open. Please be advised that this meeting is being streamed live and is also being recorded. May I ask Mr. Bishop Sam Chidoka, may I ask Mr. Obina Ufodo to give us the opening prayer?
Okay. Shall we pray, please? There's no sound here, but I'm sure the Lord will hear. So, in the name of the Father, and Son, and the Spirit. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for this gathering of the shareholders of our company, VFD Group PLC. We pray that your presence will come and take over this meeting, guide and direct our thoughts, our words, and our actions, so that at the end of the day we shall have a successful AGM. This we have prayed in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Please be seated.
Did I call Sam Obina? Thank you very much, Mr. Obina Ufodo. Your company decided to hold a virtual annual general meeting in line with the company's memorandum and articles of association and Business Facilitation Miscellaneous Provisions Act 2023. Having said that, it gives me pleasure to introduce myself and those participating with me at this meeting. At this meeting is the Group Managing Director, CEO of your company, Mr. Nonso Okpala. Also at this meeting are the following directors: Ms. Omolola Bolu Shire. She's joining virtual. Mr. Adigboyega Fatoki. Ms. Rashida Saleh. Mrs. Nneka Okekearu. Mr. Chuks Ozigbo. Mr. Femi Akinware. Mr. Mobolaji Adewumi. Mr. Kelvin Orogun. Mr. Azubike Emodi. Mr. Adeniyi Adenubi. And Mr. John Okonkwo. There is also our company secretary, Ms. Bemini Shoda. And my humble self, Olatunde Busari, SAN, your chairman. We also have with us representatives of the following regulators: the Securities and Exchange Commission SEC, Mr. Ibrahim Abu. Thank you very much. We are told you will join virtually. Thank you for your physical presence. The Nigerian Exchange Group, NGX, Ms. Brenda Duke, who is joining virtually. The Corporate Affairs Commission, whose representative we believe also will be on the virtual platform. I would also like to introduce to you representatives of the following institutions: the external auditors, PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, represented by Mrs. Chidi Ojechi and Mr. Osage Akibe. The registrar, African Prudential PLC, represented by Mrs. Bukola James Cole. The Statutory Audit Committee, represented by the chairman, Mr. Adeyemi Lawal, joining virtually. Board Evaluation Consultant, Ernst & Young, represented by Mr. Abiodun Ogunoiki and Ms. Ikem Dilim Awani. Please be reminded that this meeting is being streamed live and recorded. When you want to speak, please indicate by using the raise hand feature and wait for me to invite you to speak. Please state your name clearly and endeavor to be brief and straight to the point. I urge you not to repeat what has been said. Kindly also note that the register of directors, shareholding, and the record of attendance at board meetings of directors eligible for election are available for viewing by contacting the registrars. Please also note that requisite information is available in the annual reports. I will now call on the company secretary, Ms. Bemini Ishoda, to read the notice of meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, good morning. Notice of the 8th Annual General Meeting of VFD Group PLC. Notice is hereby given that the 8th Annual General Meeting of VFD Group PLC will hold virtually on Thursday, 27th June at 11 a.m. to transact the following business. Ordinary business. 1. To lay before the members the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2023, together with the reports of directors, auditors, and the audit committee. 2. To re-elect the following directors retiring by rotation: Mr. Kelvin Orogun and Mr. John Okonkwo. 3. To reappoint the firm PricewaterhouseCoopers as the auditor of the company in accordance with Section 401 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. 4, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. 5, to elect or re-elect members of the Statutory Audit Committee in accordance with Section 404, Sub 3 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. 6, to disclose the remuneration of managers of the company in line with the provisions of Section 238 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. Special business. 7, to elect and appoint the following directors: Ms. Rashida Saleh and Mrs. Ineka Okekiaru. 8, to consider and if thought fit, pass the following resolution as ordinary resolution: that the remuneration of the non-executive directors until further notice be and is hereby fixed at 74 million naira only for the year ending December 31st, 2024. Such payments to be effective from January 1st, 2024. To consider and if thought fit, pass the following as special resolutions. 9, that in accordance with Section 430 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and other applicable laws and regulation, the directors are hereby authorized to capitalize the sum of 506,739,640 naira out of the balance standing to the credit of the share premium of the company as at December 31st, 2023, and available for distribution, and to appropriate the said capitalized sum to the members holding 253,369,820 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each in the capital of the company, and registered as at the close of business on Friday, June 14, 2023. Transfer date, on the condition that the sum appropriated shall not be paid in cash, but applied in paying up in full at par on behalf of such holders: 1,013,479,280 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each, bonus shares, which bonus shares shall be issued and allotted, credited as fully paid up in full at par, to those members in the proportion of 4 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each for every 1 ordinary share of 50 kobo each now held by them as at the transfer date, and which bonus shares shall rank pari passu in all respects with the existing ordinary shares of the company. That the directors be and are hereby authorized to deal with fractional shares resulting from the issuance of the bonus shares as they deem fit pursuant to the extant laws. Resolution 10. To consider and if thought fit, pass the following as special resolutions: that the shareholders approve that the company's share capital be and is hereby increased from 126,684,909. I'll take that again. 126,684,910 naira divided into 253,369,820 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each to 633,424,550 naira divided into 1,266,849,100 ordinary shares. 479,280 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each. That pursuant to Resolution 10.1 above, that Clause 6 of the Memorandum of Association of the company be and is hereby amended to read as follows: that the share capital of the company is 633,424,550 naira divided into 1,266,849,100 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each, with the rights and privileges and conditions attached thereto are provided of association of the company for the time being, with the power to increase or reduce the capital into several classes or attach thereto respectively such preferential, deferred, qualified or special rights or conditions as may be determined by or in accordance with the Articles of Association for the time being, and to vary, modify or abrogate any such rights, privileges or condition in such manner as may be provided by the Articles of Association of the company for the time being. Such rights, privileges or condition as may be provided by the appoint such professional parties, perform all such acts to effect the above resolutions. Resolution 11, to consider and if thought fit, pass the following as special resolutions. That the directors be and are hereby authorized to raise additional capital of up to 30 billion through an offer by way of issuance of shares, global depository receipts, commercial papers, loans, convertibles or non-convertibles, medium-term notes, bonds, or any other instrument, either as a standalone or by way of a program in such tranches, series or proportion, as such coupon or interest rates within such maturity periods, and or terms and conditions, including through book process or such other processes, all which shall be determined by the directors, subject to obtaining the requisite approvals of regulatory authorities. 11.2. That directors be and are hereby authorized to enter into agreements and or execute documents necessary or incidental to effecting the resolutions above. And 11.3. The directors be and are hereby authorized to appoint such professional parties and perform all such acts and do all such other things as may be necessary for effecting the above resolutions, including without limitation to complying with any directives of any regulatory authority. Resolution 12. To consider and if thought fit, pass the following as special resolutions. That Article 12 of the Articles of Association of the company be and is hereby amended to read the following. A notice may be given by the company to any member, either personally, by advertisement, or by sending by post to him or to his registered, or if he has no registered address within Nigeria, to the address, if any, within Nigeria, supplied by him to the company for the giving of notice to such shareholder. When a notice is sent by post, service of the notice shall be deemed to be effected by properly addressing, preparing, and posting a letter containing the notice, and to have been effected at the expiration of 7 days after the letter containing same is posted. When a notice is by advertisement, it shall be inserted in at least 2 leading national daily newspapers. 12.2. That Article 21 of the Articles of Association of the company be and is hereby amended to read as follows. That the directors may exercise all the power of the company to borrow money and mortgage or charges undertaking, property and uncalled capital, or any part thereof, and to issue debentures, debenture stock, and any other security, whether outright or as a security for any debt, liability, or obligation of the company, or of any third party, provided that the aggregate amount for the time being remaining undischarged of money borrowed or secured by the company and all its subsidiaries, other than that, and apart from temporary loans obtained in the ordinary course of business, shall not, without the previous sanction of the company in general meeting, exceed the aggregate of the paid-up share capital and reserves of the company. For the purpose of the said limit, the issue of debentures shall be deemed to constitute borrowing, notwithstanding that same day be issued in whole or in part for a consideration other than cash. Dated June 3rd, 2024, by order of the board. Bemi Shoda, Company Secretary.
Thank you very much, Company Secretary Bemi Shoda. Distinguished shareholders, the chairman's statement is at pages 19 to 23 of the annual reports, copies of which have been distributed to shareholders and is also available on the company's website. Kindly waive my reading of the statement and please consider it as read. Thank you. Distinguished shareholders, the Managing Director CEO statement is also at pages 25 to 36 of the annual report, copies of which have been distributed to shareholders, and it is also available on the company's website. Kindly waive the reading of this statement and please consider it as read. I will now ask the representative of the external auditors, PwC, to read the auditor's reports.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. With your kind permission, sir, I would like to take an abridged version
Please go
of
ahead.
the report. Thank you very much. The report is on page 79 of the annual report. Report on the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements.
Cool.
In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of VFD Group PLC and its subsidiaries, together the group, as of 31 December 2023, and of its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and the requirements of the Company and Allied Matters Act and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Amended Act 2023. We have audited the statement of profit and loss and other comprehensive income. We have audited the statements of financial position, statement of changes in equity, statement of changes in cash flows, and the notes to the financial statements. Page 80 speaks to the key audit matters, which are those matters that in our professional judgment were of significance in the audit of these financial statements. The key audit matters are the application of ISA 29, which is financial reporting in hyperinflationary economies. The company has investment in Ghana, and this standard applied to the results of Ghana. Impairment of goodwill and expected credit loss on loans and advances to customers. This applies to the subsidiary VFD Microfinance Bank. I would like to read out the report on other legal and regulatory requirements. The Company and Allied Matters Act required in carrying out our audit. We consider and report to you on the following matters. We confirm that we have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purposes of the audit. The company has kept proper books of accounts so far as appears from our examination of those books, and returns adequate for our audit have been received from locations not visited by us. The company's statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of accounts and returns. In accordance with the requirements of the Financial Reporting Council, we performed a limited assurance engagement and reported on management's assessment of internal control over financial reporting as of 31 December 2023. The work performed was done in accordance with FRC guidance on assurance engagement, report on internal control over financial reporting issued by the FRCN, and we have issued an unqualified opinion in our report dated 22nd May 2024. That report is on page 77 of the annual report. This report was signed by Chidi Ojechi for PricewaterhouseCoopers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ojechi. I will now ask the chairman of the Statutory Audit Committee to read the committee's report. Unfortunately, Mr. Adeyemi Lawal, the chairman, has connection difficulties. So I'll invite Mr. Chooks Ozigbo, a member of the Statutory Audit Committee, to present the committee's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Chooks Ozigbo. I'm presenting this statutory audit report on behalf of the Chairman, Adeyemi Lawal, for Statutory Audit Committee. In accordance with the provisions of Section 404, Sub 4 of the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020, members of Audit Committee of VFD Group PLC hereby report on the financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2023 as follows. We have exercised statutory functions under the Section 404, Sub 4 of the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020 and acknowledge the cooperation of management staff in the conduct of these responsibilities. We are of the opinion that the accounting and reporting policies of the company are in accordance with legal requirements and agree ethical practices, and that the scope and the planning of both the external and internal audits for the year 31st December 2023 was satisfactory and reinforced the company's internal control systems. We have deliberated with the external auditors who have confirmed that necessary cooperation was received from the management in the course of statutory audits. And we are satisfied with the management's responses whereupon and with the effectiveness of the company's systems of Accounting and Internal Controls. Members of the Audit Committees are Mr. Adeyemi Lawal, Chairman, Mr. Akinola Oladapo, Shareholder, Mr. Folabi Adebayo, Shareholder, Mr. Chuks Ozibo, Director, Mr. Mobolaji Adewumi, Director. The company's secretary serves as the secretary of the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Signed by Adeyemi Lawal, Chairman of the Statutory Audit Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chuks Ozibo. Please take note of the report of the external consultants, Ernst & Young, on the board evaluation of the company, contained at page 71 of the annual report. Pursuant to Section 248 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, I hereby declare that a poll be taken on the resolutions for consideration at this meeting. Shareholders that did not send in their proxy form have the opportunity to vote at this meeting by using the voting links and token provided by the registrars. Since the votes on all the proxy forms duly submitted have been collated by the registrars, I'd like to ask the registrars to collate the voting results, including the votes on the proxy forms and the outcome of the votes done here after conclusion of the voting process on each resolution upon their introduction. The first item on the agenda is to lay before the members the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2023, together with the reports of directors, auditors, and audit committee thereon. I hereby lay before you the report and accounts for the year ended December 31, 2023. You now have an opportunity to ask questions regarding the reports and accounts. In doing so, it will help to ensure that we give the right answer. If you could refer to the page of the report and accounts to which your questions relate. Remember to raise your hands to enable the chairman, to enable me recognize you to speak. Mr. Ario, we yield the floor to you so you can ask your question. Mr. Olugbosun Ario.
Yeah, I'm with you, sir. I don't know if you can hear me, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Can you give him some audio so we hear him?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I don't know whether you can hear me, sir.
Speak up a bit.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me now, Mr. Chairman? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. the management to always look out for anything that will make us refine. I know the issue in Ghana, the academia economy in Ghana push us to this, but I want to know whether there are lessons learned and what we can do to actually make us to not refine the later future. Then I also want to ask question on page 160 to 161, where we have the condensed result of our consolidated entities. From my analysis, I see that there is room for us to actually watch for cost control. Because when you look at the result of those first subsidiaries that we have under us, I saw that only BFD Ghana has a CSTI has cost to income ratio of about 30% or thereabout. Why the other one are on the other side? I think I want the management team to watch this. Then I also want to ask, there is no particular interest on VFD microfinance. I want to know, are there some operational challenges that bank is facing? Because I got that the CIR of VFD microfinance is over 100%. And that is actually a worry. So I don't know whether management team can provide what are the operational challenges they are facing VFD microfinance and other subsidiaries. Then I also want to, Mr. Chairman, I also want to commend the effort of the VFD, the GMD and the MD in the VFD Ghana. I want to appreciate what the mandate the management of the board and management are giving to the MD and to actually accurate VFD South Africa. So my question is that I want to know whether operation and whether we have that project has commenced and the VFD has commenced. I want to know related on that. Then I also want to appreciate our journey so far. When you look at our 5-year financial summary, how we are on page 197. I want to appreciate the board and management team, and we are able to grow our assets from over 44 billion to over 209 billion under the year. I think that is great. I want to appreciate that effort, and I want us to keep it up. So I think on that note, I want to give other shareholders, and I also want to have one or two things to ask the board. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ario. Mr. Adio Alex Ademola, I can see you raising your hands. We yield the floor to you, Mr. Adio.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman.
God bless you too.
Adio Alex is the name doctor, and I lead Dynamic Shareholder Corporation. I want to commend the effort of our company coming up at this time, progressing, and I want to congratulate the board of management on the success. Through the right to do, because time is up, and but when we look at our operating results, we are tentative of that 750. This is not the fact that we have not tried for the first of the same losses and thereabout. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to advise that we begin to look through intent at our ARM. I read about it. I want it to be more robust so that we can have credit losses and at the same time see how we can mitigate against losses so that this company will stand on the ground on time. Equally, I want you to look at cyber risk exposure. It cannot be there for now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adio Alex.
Yes, that is our regulation. That meeting, that is fantastic. And I read through the GMB statement, which is loaded. Explanation structure. I want you to
Are you done, Mr. Adio Alex?
That we look at physically and affect intention as we move on. Chairman, are you hearing me?
Yes, please. Are you done?
Hello, am I online?
You are very much online.
Yes. No.
Go ahead, please.
I'm making it faster, so I'm not making a petition.
Please go ahead.
Shareholder structure. I said, please make sure you guide this policy very well and guide against undue board policy. That in that area, and I said this to him and but I appreciate you to explain that we have to do about the voting. There is contractor, I want to go in, advise us to be extra careful, especially foreign law. If you are taking any foreign law, let us just make it Ghana denominated or set a ceiling limit so that we will not have the whole experience as a whole. I want to wish you well. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adio Alex. There is a question by Mr. Lukman Adeshola. How can we avoid penalties in the future? There is another question from Maxwell Kadri. Maxwell Agudume Kadri. I'll be keen to know the plans regarding VFD investment in Abe Building Society PLC. Previously, the information available was that it will be transitioning into a full-fledged deposit money bank, but also had that VFD might be divesting. What's the current status of things about the future of the investment that VFD has made there? Many thanks in advance. My name is Maxwell Kadiri. Another question, okay, I've read that, Lukman Adelakun. What is the current challenge with the VFD Microfinance Bank, Adelakun Lukman? Also, what are the details concerning the proposed investment in South Africa? Okay, should we have it? Okay, I think we can attend to all the questions, but before I cede the responsibility to the CEO, I'd like to identify our listing with the NGX as a major milestone, and it came with a lot of responsibilities and efforts. And apart from it making us very visible, is a demonstration of the company's resolve at ensuring that we comply with corporate governance principles, that all our actions and activities are transparent, because being listed on the NGX comes with a lot of burden and responsibilities. As identified, the filing of the report also had to meet a lot of requirements, accounting requirements, regulatory requirements, and I think the accounts may have been turned in a little bit late, but it's because we wanted it to be perfect. We wanted to, being the first time we are filing an account after being listed, we want to be seen as a company that complies with regulatory regime and a company that will remain attractive to investors. Our resolve is that we should remain accountable, and we should demonstrate that return for investment and that your investments are safe with VFD Group. I think that's about what I would say. Regarding the VFD Ghana issue and foreign loans and other operational questions that have been asked, I will allow the MD CEO, Nonso Okpala, to respond to those questions.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, shareholders. It's indeed a thing of great joy to be hosting this meeting today, our annual engagement. I'll go straight to some of the questions, but I'll take a cue from what the Chairman had previously said. with respect to the delay in the filing of the financials. I think it's something that was so much of a difficulty for us to adjust to. Yes, we were changing the regulatory requirements as a result of listing on NGX, but we know that internally we hold ourselves accountable to a high standard. Unfortunately for this, yes, our Ghana operation performed quite well, but the hyperinflationary environment of Ghana required certain reporting requirements that we just had to tend to. So we do apologize that there was such a delay. It is out of character for us, but we ensure that it would not happen again. That's myself and the management team would ensure it, we keep to it. There's a question about the VFD Microfinance Bank. One thing that they have going for them very well is the technology that they've built. As you very well know, they pioneered the digital banking regime that has currently, we've been enjoying in the economy today. But they built it on a very robust technology. Unfortunately for us, most of that cost was incurred in dollars, and because of the variations or the volatility in the dollar exchange, we had to recognize certain losses, which we think is behind us, because the technology will still get to enjoy it for quite some time, and we booked that loss. We're rest assured that on the back of the reconstitution of the board and the retooling of management, that we'll see fantastic returns coming from that company in the near future. So we're quite positive about that, and we think that all that, the downside expectation is behind us on that. Appreciation of the Ghana MD, the VFD Group Ghana MD. I think I would join the shareholder who made that remark to comment very strongly MD in the operations of Ghana. You very well know that Ghana is barely 2 years in existence, but it has been able to ramp up its balance sheet significantly, as well as enhance its operations. And today, we are seeing good returns from Ghana, though it has been dampened a bit by the inflationary issues in Ghana, but we're quite positive that the worst is behind us, and we are geared for better returns from Ghana. And also, by extension, we've mandated him to see how most of the learnings that he gained from establishing our operations in Ghana will be leveraged when we go into South Africa. So I would join him in commending the MD, and I will ensure that that message reaches him, and more would be expected of him. For South Africa, we currently have the board's approval for establishment in South Africa. We're very cautious about it because there's a great deal of learning that we need to have, understanding that environment and the opportunities that it holds. So we would be working quite strongly on that mandate, but very cautiously, knowing fully well that as much as you see the opportunities, there are also some drawbacks, and you need to be careful, leveraging the experience that we had in Ghana. I take the appreciation for the growth in the balance sheet. I would also try to explain a bit the loss that we incurred in 2023. It was a very challenging year. It was a year that saw a great deal of volatility with respect to the FX regime. And we can say principally that that was one of the main reasons why our performance is not as much as we had expected in 2023. In addition to a negative carry that we had in 2023, we were hoping that the capital raise would happen sooner, but that didn't happen because of certain delays. Based on the success of the rights that we carried out in late 2023 and early 2024, we think that the issue of the negative carry is put behind us. Now, explain a bit the negative carry. When you run an investment company like the model we run, we have seasons of making investments. We have seasons of maturing those investments and ensuring that they get to a level of maturation that we can A, start getting high dividend yields from them, and B, make a divestment to get good returns from them. That period requires deployment of capital, especially when it's done for a company that is not listed. You find out that your capital is at work, but the benefits of that deployment or the efforts in growing those companies would not be very visible. In the 3 years leading up to 2023, a lot of investment was made. Some of them in companies that were not listed, and as a result, it affected the firepower that we needed, A, to maintain operations, and B, to make subsequent investments. So there was a negative carry in 2023. We had initially planned that by mid-2023, we will complete our capital raise and cure that negative carry. But for certain reasons, there were delays on it. Also learning from the requirements of a listed company. It's good to announce that our rights was successful, so that negative carry is cured. It's also good to announce, based on the cue from the central bank, that the volatility of the currency is behind us. Intellectually, we evaluated and we think that things will be more stable. And so we're quite positive about the returns for 2024 and into the future. So yes, there's been significant growth, but I know shareholders would have appreciated, beyond the growth, returns from profit and dividend. We would hold on to it, and we would encourage you to stay steadfast with us. In 2024, we are very positive that it will turn. There was a question with respect to commendation again on the success of listing. We will take that commendation from shareholders, and we do appreciate it. There are certain pains in the process, and we are learning it, but we assure you that we'll continue to do our best to gain the benefits of listing, as well as match up to all the obligations of a listed company like you would expect. There was an advice to management with respect to FX, a robust process of managing our FX-related losses. We've learned a lot from that process in 2023, and we think that we have put in place right processes to address it, and we're also optimistic that the economic situation of the country would support a good projection on stability on that. I take the commendation respect to the robust nature of the GMD statements. I do appreciate it. There was a comment on the shareholder structure. It was not so clear towards the end, but I think it had to do with the quality of the shareholders that we have continued to attract post-listing. I guess the most important thing in that process is to continue to do the work well, to continue to build the brand of the company in a robust way, continue to articulate a strategy that supports the kind of growth that we want, and execute that strategy accordingly. We are quite hopeful that if we meet most of the milestones that we've set for ourselves, we'll be able to attract pension funds to start investing in our company, because that would be, for us, a very important milestone. There's an advice on avoiding foreign loans. Like I mentioned previously, we have good learnings from the FX volatility, and we will take note of it to ensure that we do not do or make steps that might expose us to such volatility. There's a question about the penalty that was paid. I think it was addressed initially in the first question. From Maxwell Kadiri, with respect to Abe and the planned upgrade of Abe to a commercial bank, I think it's a strategy that the company is chasing. We are very supportive of whatever process that the management and the board approve As you know, we are investors in the company. We are quite instrumental in the turnaround of the company on the back of our investment and extension of resources to properly manage it. We think they know exactly what they're doing, and we're very hopeful that they continue to achieve it in that direction. Yes, we've made some divestment on that position, but it doesn't in any way indicate that we have an exit mentality towards it. So yes, we are still very much in that investment. We continue to cherish it. We just made a partial divestment so as to get some of the returns of the divestment that is required to run our business model in a profitable way. There's Adelakun Lukman, who made mention of our operation or proposed operations in South Africa. I think I have addressed that quite well, and I would skip that. Now, Adelaku also asked specifically what caused the loss in MFB. Very clearly, it's the tech-related investment that was made, as I mentioned previously. Chairman, I don't know if there's anything
yes,
that I
before
skipped.
we close the Q&A, there are two other questions that I think we should take. Simeon Olaoluwa, how do we intend to resolve the key audit matters raised by the auditors? What is our position in Q1? That's Simeon Olaoluwa Adio. Another one from Gilbert Ayola. On the background of the negative performance in respect of the balance, what is the prospects for the future?
So I'll skip key audit matters and I'll allow John, ED Finance, to address it. Q1 position, I'll also allow John the pleasure of discussing it. I would also want to take a cue of it from the fact that, yes, we are profitable in Q1, and indications are also good going into the rest of the year. For the negative position, before I hand it over to John, I think the business model is one that if we need to, as shareholders, to better appreciate. The fact is that as an investment company, knowing the nature of investments that we make, growth in balance sheet is quite important. Quality of investment portfolio is very important. Yes, profitability of the company is equally important, but it's not consistently mandatory. We will continue to make efforts to be profitable year on year, but sometimes we will sacrifice profitability on the back of growth, on the back of making strategic investments, on the back of making investments that will position us for a good standing into the economy for years to come. And so, yes, 2023 was not as profitable as we have historically maintained for the last 14 years, but it is part of the investment model that we run. From time to time, based on the maturation of investments that we make and the strategic positioning of our portfolio, times like that might come, but the effectiveness and efficiency of our management is geared towards ensuring that it never happens. On the back of that, I will give John to make certain statements. Thanks.
Thank you, Jamie. I think on the key audit matters, the auditors just tried to draw the attention of the users of the financial statements to certain things that were important to them in the course of the audit. And they also went ahead to explain to users of the financial statements how those matters, how they ensured in the course of the audit that those matters were properly addressed and that the financial statements at the end of the day gives a true and fair view. So those issues around the IAS 29, which is financial reporting in hyperinflationary economies, they just drew attention to that it was a key audit matter, and they mentioned the steps they took to ensure that they audited that issue very well, and that the numbers that were reported at the end of the day were fine. The other one was on impairment of goodwill. Is a requirement of the standard. So the auditors again drew attention of the users of the financial statement to the fact that the group has a goodwill in its books, and as required by the standards, they followed the normal process to ensure that the test for impairment of the goodwill was properly carried and adequately reported. The third thing is expected credit losses on loans and advances for our subsidiary companies that are into lending. Again, the auditors drew attention of the users of the financial statements to the fact that the standards require that they carry out some expected credit loss tests on those loans and advances to ensure that adequate provisions were made for expected credit losses. That is looking into the future, the credit losses that are expected to be made. So those provisions were made as required by the standards and adequate disclosures made in the financial statements. So those are the things around the key audit matters. The auditors just want to draw the attention of the users of financial statements to those matters, how they were addressed in the audit, and then give assurance that everything that needs to be done around them were properly done and adequately disclosed. The second question was around the performance in Q1, which was also reported and filed with the regulators, and which can also be assessed on our website. So in terms of performance for the company, it was a profit of 1 billion, and for the group was a profit after tax of 2.6 billion. So it was a complete turnaround from the performance from last year, and we hope to continue that trajectory going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think we should proceed with the meeting, even though there are some questions on the platform, but those are questions that we can respond to directly to the people posing the questions. Such question like, what is the meaning of VFD? Another one is that the guy says he wants a copy of the annual report. Another one, which is very interesting, is that they are complaining that I did not state the company secretary's name, whereas I stated the other people's names. We will privately ask why you want the company secretary's name before we make such disclosures, even though our name was mentioned when I introduced all the other directors. Thank you very much for all the questions, but I think we should move on with today's proceedings. The next item on the agenda is the re-election of retiring directors. In accordance with Section 285, subsection 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, at the annual general meeting in every subsequent year, 1/3 of the directors for the time being shall retire from office and be eligible for re-election. Distinguished shareholders, before we take the rest of the agenda, I now call on Bukola James Cole, the representative of the registrar, to take us through the voting guide.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, I will now proceed to explain the procedure for casting your votes. At this meeting, we will be collating the total votes of the shareholders using their personal devices virtually, in addition to the proxies received and earlier mentioned, to get and arrive at the final results. For shareholders voting online, please enter your unique token as received via email or SMS. The options for and against will appear on your screen. Kindly proceed to cast your votes using the options for if you're voting in favor of the resolution, or against if you're voting against the resolution. The voting will be open for just 60 seconds, and you have the flexibility to change your vote within the 60 seconds window by simply selecting the alternative option. Once the voting period ends, your last selected voting option will be registered as your final vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Registrar. The directors retiring by rotation and who being eligible have presented themselves for re-election are Mr. Kelvin Orogun and Mr. John Okonkwo. I hereby move that Mr. Kelvin Orogun who is retiring by rotation and has offered himself for election be and is hereby re-elected. Would a member please second the motion? Mr. Ariyo, I see you raising up your hand. The floor is yours. Thank you very much, Mr. Ariyo. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Distinguished shareholders, kindly proceed to vote in line with your voting decision. The voting session is ongoing. IT, please, can you move that screen so that I can see the time count? Thank you. The voting session is ongoing. Fantastic. Thank you. We have less than 30 seconds to go. We're gradually coming to the end of this session. The voting session has now ended, and we have 219,007,109 shareholding, representing 100% and all voting in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar. I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Congratulations, Mr. Kevin Orogun. I hereby move that Mr. John Okonkwo, who is retiring by rotation and has offered himself for election, be and is hereby re-elected. Would someone please second the motion? Engineer Binuyo Sharafa Teju. The floor is yours, please. We can't hear you, Engineer Binuyo Sharafa Teju. Engineer Sharafa Teju, can you come again? Thank you very much, Engineer Sharafa Teju. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session can now commence. Distinguished shareholders, please proceed to vote in line with your voting decision. The voting session is ongoing, and we have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session is gradually coming to an end. The voting session has now ended. And we have 219,012,706 shareholding, representing an approximation of 100% and voting in favor of the resolution. And we have 1,000 shares representing 0.000% and voting against the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar. I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Congratulations, Mr. John Okonkwo. The next item on the agenda is to reappoint the firm PricewaterhouseCoopers PwC as the auditor of the company in accordance with Section 401 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. I hereby move that PricewaterhouseCoopers PwC be reappointed as the auditor of the company in accordance with Section 401 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. Will the member please second the motion? Who is second? Mr. Ario, can you please?
I so do, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to second that motion, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ario. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session can now commence. Distinguished shareholders, kindly let's proceed to vote in line with our voting decision. The options for and against would have popped up on your screen. Kindly proceed to vote in line with your decision. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session has now ended. And we have 219,027,866 shares representing an approximation of 100% and voting in favor of the resolution. And we have 10 shares representing 0.0000% voting against the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar. I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Congratulations, PwC. The next item on the agenda is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the external auditors, Messrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. The law, specifically Section 408, subsection 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, requires that their remuneration be fixed by the company in a general meeting or in such a manner as the company may determine in the general meeting. I hereby move that the directors be and are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the external auditors for the year ending December 31st, 2024. Will the member please second the motion?
Aye. Engineer Video Sharafa, second the motion.
Engineer Sharafa.
Thank you, second the motion.
Thank you very much, Engineer Sharafa. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Distinguished shareholders, kindly proceed to vote in line with your voting decision. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting has come to an end. We have 218,953,301 shares, representing an approximation of 100% and voting in favor of the resolution. And we have 360 shares, representing 0.000% voting against the resolution. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been duly carried. Thank you very much, Registrar. The next item on the agenda is the election of members of the Statutory Audit Committee. The directors nominated to represent the board on the Statutory Audit Committee are Mr. Mobolaji Adewumi, Non-Executive Director, Mr. Chuks Ozigbo, Non-Executive Director. The Company Secretary has confirmed that a total of 6 valid nominations were received for membership of the Audit Committee from shareholders. The following members have been validly nominated to represent the shareholders on the Audit Committee. Alhaji Kabiru Abdullahi Tambari, a shareholder. Mr. Chijioke Iheanyi Ugoji, a shareholder. Mr. Akinola Oladapo, a shareholder. Mr. Peter Eyanuku, a shareholder. Mr. Adenrele Sulaiman Babatunde, a shareholder. And Mr. Adeleke Oladimeji Bolaji, a shareholder. I move that Alhaji Kabiru Abdullahi Tambari be nominated to represent shareholders on the Audit Committee. Would a member please second that motion? Mr. Adeleke Oladimeji, I can see your hands up. We yield the floor to Mr. Adeleke Oladimeji. Or Mr. Olugbosu. Mr. Olugbosu. Yes. Yes, please, go ahead.
I think the 6 are for election. I don't know why we are seconding motion for Mr. Tambari. I want to be clear on that. I think we are for election by show of hands.
The motion is for Tambari. This motion is for Alhaji Kabiru Tambari to be elected to represent shareholders on the Audit Committee.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, are we moving motion for each of those assistant please? If I get you right.
Yes, we are moving for each of them because ultimately we have limited slots, and we will take them one after the other. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
I think I'm confused, sir. I thought we are presenting them for election.
Yes, that's what we are doing. They had been nominated by the shareholders, and we've received their nominations. So we are presenting them to the general meeting for election. The election that we are conducting now is for Alhaji Kabiru Abdullahi Tambari. So we're asking a shareholder to second that nomination to second that motion If you second it, we put it to vote, and we will announce the result of the votes.
Okay, sir, I still second, sir.
Mr. Ariyo,
Second,
second.
sir.
Okay, Mr. Olugbosun Ariyo. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, the election of the members of the Statutory Audit Committee by KAMA is to be conducted by show of hands. Hence, the voting result on this resolution will be conducted electronically, and then the result read out by the count of the number of shareholders who have voted. The voting options for against will still pop up on your screen. Kindly proceed to vote in line with your voting decision. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session is gradually coming to an end. The voting session has now ended, and we have 75 shareholders voting in favor of this resolution and 1 shareholder voting against this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll conclude all the 6 elections before we announce the results.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So the next person.
I also move that Mr. Chijioke Hianyu Goji vote be conducted to represent shareholders on the audit committee. Would a member please second the motion? Who's correct? Yeah. Who is it? Mr. Adeleke Oladimeji.
Thank you, my chairman, sir. I so do, sir. Adeleke Oladimeji.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adeleke. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Please note that we're voting for just 3 out of these 6, and you're entitled to just 3 votes. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session has now ended. We have 74 shareholders voting in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Mr. Akinola Oladapo, who has been nominated by the shareholders to represent the shareholders on the audit committee. I move that his election also be conducted. Will somebody please second the motion?
Hi, Engineer Binuyo Sharafa, support the motion.
Engineer Binuyo Sharafa, thank you.
Binuyo Sharafa,
Thank you very much. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Kindly proceed to vote. to elect Mr. Akinola Oladapo as a member of the Statutory Audit Committee. We have less than 20 seconds to go. The voting session has now ended. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Next is Mr. Peter Yanuku, who has also been nominated by the shareholders to represent them on the Audit Committee. I move that his nomination also be put to vote. Will someone please second the motion? Mr. Kolaole Saka.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Saka.
My name was not called despite the fact that I submitted nomination papers. I don't know why it is so.
Nomination papers. Who is that?
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Owens. Which was this? Okay. Who again wants to second it? Let me know.
You said it
wasn't pre-qualified.
He also said.
Mr. Saka, the company secretary will respond to what you have just raised.
Good afternoon, Mr. Saka. Based on the relevant regulation of what the qualification of a member of the Audit Committee, the documents that you submitted did not show that you have the requisite requirements. We would also send to you subsequently a comprehensive information based on what the law requires and what you submitted to us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saka. The company secretary says you were not pre-qualified, and you will be, the company secretary will directly engage you after this meeting. Can a member, Adeleke Oladimeji, Oladimeji, for Peter, yes, go ahead, please.
I saw to do my name is Auditor. I don't know if I can second the motion for myself.
No, you cannot second the motion for yourself. We haven't named you, yes. So you can second for Peter Yanuku. We are on Peter Yanuku.
Okay, I would like to second for Peter Yanuku.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thank you, Registrar. We put the motion to the meeting and call on, we invite you to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Please proceed to vote. Kindly note that you can't vote more than 3 times. You shouldn't. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session has now ended. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move on to the nomination of Mr. Adenrele Sulaiman Babatunde, and we also put that to vote as well. Will the member please second the motion that we put the nomination of Mr. Adenrele Sulaiman Babatunde to vote? Mr. Gilbert Ayola. Mr. Gilbert Ayola.
Thank you, my chairman, sir.
Can you go ahead?
Hello?
We can hear you.
Thank you, my chairman. Thank you, my chairman, sir. I so second, sir.
You second. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, the voting session can now commence. We are voting on the resolution to elect Mr. Adenrele Sulaiman Babatunde as a member of the Statutory Audit Committee. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session has now ended. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Registrar. Next is the nomination of Mr. Adeleke Oladimeji Bolaji, nominated to represent the shareholders on the Audit Committee. Would a member please second the motion that it be presented and voted for? Mr. Mudashiru Usman. Mr. Mudashiru Usman. You second the motion. Thank you very much, Mr. Mudashiru Usman Akombi. I now put the motion to the meeting, and the registrar is invited to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Kindly proceed to vote for Mr. Adeleke Oladimeji as a member of the Statutory Audit Committee. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session has now ended. Please give us a few seconds to project the result of the election. Thank you.
People and the vote before I declare that. Registrar, you are going to declare the results.
A few seconds. We'll project the results shortly. Thank you.
Not yet. Where is it?
Kindly exercise patience. We have about 30 seconds more to project the results. Thank you. Please, can you project a little? Okay, and here we have the results. We have 75 votes for Alhaji Kabiru Abdullahi Tambari, 74 votes for Mr. Chijoke Ihayi Ugorji. We have 75 votes for Mr. Akinola Oladapo. We have 6 votes for Mr. Peter Eyanoko. We have 6 votes for Mr. Adenrele Sulaiman Babatunde, and we have 5 votes for Mr. Adeleke Oladimeji Bolaji. Thank you.
Thank you very much. After a very hard-fought election, please let it remain projected.
Please leave the results projected.
The following individuals, the result of the elections as read out and declared by the registrar, you can see on the screen. I hereby declare that the following persons have been validly elected as members of the Statutory Audit Committee. Alhaji Kabiru Abdullahi Tambari with 75 votes, Mr. Akinola Oladapo with 75 votes, Mr. Chijioke Ihayi Ugoji with 74 votes. And they will be on the Statutory Audit Committee as representatives of the shareholders. So I, on behalf of the members of your company and the Board of Directors, I congratulate Mr. Alhaji Tambari, Mr. Ugoji, and Mr. Oladapo. Thank you very much. Section 238 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 require companies to disclose the remuneration of managers. Please refer to page 150 of the annual report for details of the remuneration of the managers as required by law. This is for information purposes only. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is for the shareholders to approve the appointment of Ms. Rashida Saleh and Mrs. Nneka Okekearu as independent non-executive directors of the company. May I request the approval of shareholders that Ms. Rashida Saleh be and is hereby appointed as an independent non-executive director of the company. Will the member please second the motion? Mr. Makanju Oladapo.
I support the motion.
Thank you very much. I now put the motion to the meeting and call the registrars to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Distinguished shareholders, please let's vote in line with our voting decision. The voting session is ongoing. We have less than 30 seconds to go.
Look at that fly.
The voting session is gradually coming to an end. The voting session has now ended. and we have 219,011,966 shares, representing 99.95% voting in favor of the resolution, and we have 99,002 shares, representing 0.05%, and voting against the resolution.
Thank you very much, Registrar. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. Congratulations, Ms. Rashida Saleh. May I request the approval of shareholders that Mrs. Nneka Okekearu be and is hereby appointed as an independent, non-executive director of the company. Will the member please second the motion? Mudashiru Usman. Mr. Mudashiru Usman. Yes, go ahead. Thank you very much, Mr. Mudashiru. Thank you. I put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Kindly let's proceed to vote in line with our voting decisions. The voting session is ongoing. The voting session has now ended, and we have 218,939,982 shares, representing 99.95% and voting in favor of the resolution. And we have 99,002 shares, representing 0.05% voting against the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar. I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Congratulations, Mrs. Nneka Okekearu. The next item is a resolution to fix the remuneration of directors of the company. I move that the remuneration of non-executive directors be and is hereby fixed at 74 million naira only for the year ending December 31st, 2024. Such payments to be effective from January 1st, 2024. Will someone second this motion, please? Please, kindly speak when I call on you. Mr. Hakim Lawal Olua.
My name is Hakim Lawal Olua. I do second the motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olua. I put the motion to the meeting for votes. Registrar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Distinguished shareholders, kindly proceed to vote. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session is gradually coming to an end. The voting session has now ended. And we have 218,927,682 shares, representing 99.95%, voting in favor of the resolution. And we have 99,012 shares, representing 0.05%, voting against this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is the bonus shares issuance. Members may consider, and if thought fit, pass the following special resolution. That in accordance with Section 430 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and all other applicable laws and regulations, the directors are hereby authorized to capitalize the sum of 506,739,640 naira out of the balance standing to the credit of the share premium of the company as of December 31st, 2023, and available for distribution, and to appropriate the said capitalized sum to the members holding 253,369,820 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each in the capital of the company, and registered as at the close of business on Friday, June 14, 2023, being the transfer date, on the condition that the sum appropriated shall not be paid in cash, but applied in paying up in full at par on behalf of such holders, of 1,013,479,280 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each, being the bonus shares, which bonus shares shall be issued and allotted, credited as fully paid up in full at par to those members in the proportion of 4 ordinary shares of 50 kobo for every 1 ordinary share of 50 kobo, now held by them, as at the transfer date, and which bonus shares shall rank pari passu in all respect with the existing ordinary shares of the company. That the directors be and are hereby authorized to deal with fractional shares resulting from the issuance of bonus shares as they deem fit pursuant to the extant laws. Would a member please second this motion? Mr. Makanjuola Abdulyekin Oladayo.
I, Makanjuola Abdulyekin Oladayo, I second the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Makanjuola. I put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Distinguished shareholders, kindly proceed to vote in line with your voting decision. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session is gradually coming to an end. The voting session has now ended. We have 219,049,766 shares, representing an approximation of 100% voting in favor of this resolution. And we have 2,990 shares, representing 0.0000% voting against this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is the increase of share capital. Members may consider, and if thought fit, pass the following special resolutions. That the shareholders approve that the company's share capital be and is hereby increased from 126,684,910
I still second Mr. Chairman.
Adio Alex Ademola. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the voting session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. IT, are you fine? Please project. The voting session is ongoing. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session has now ended, and we have 118,817,498 shares, representing 99.92% voting in favor of the resolution, and we have 99,502 shares, representing 0.08% and voting against the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is the raising of additional capital. Members may consider, and if thought fit, pass the following special resolution. That directors be and are hereby authorized to raise additional capital of up to 30 billion naira through an offer by way of issuance of shares, global depository receipts, commercial papers, loans, convertibles or non-convertibles, medium-term notes, bonds, and or any other instruments, either as a standalone or by way of programs in such tranches, series, or proportions as such coupon or interest rates within such maturity periods and on such terms and conditions, including through book building process or such other processes, all of which shall be as determined by the directors, subject to obtaining the approvals of relevant regulatory authorities. 2, the directors be and are hereby authorized to enter into any agreements and to execute any other documents necessary for and or incidental to affecting the resolutions above. And 3, the directors be and are hereby authorized to appoint such professional parties and perform all such other acts and do all such other things as may be necessary for all incidental to effecting the above resolutions, including without limitation, complying with directives of any regulatory authority. Will the member please second this motion? Mudashiru Usman. Mudashiru Usman.
I understand Mudashiru Usman. Second the motion.
I put the motion to the meeting and call for votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Distinguished shareholders, please let's proceed to vote in line with our voting decision. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session has now ended. We have 217,962,616 shares, representing 99.95% voting in favor of the resolution. And we have 99,002 shares, representing 0.05% voted against this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is the amendment of the Articles of Association of the company to include notices, advertisements, notices and advertisements. Members may consider, and if thought fit, pass the following special resolutions. That Article 12 of the Articles of Association of the company be and is hereby amended to read as follows. A notice may be given by the company to any member, either personally, by advertisement, or by sending by post to him, or to his registered, or if he has no registered address within Nigeria, to the address, if any, within Nigeria supplied by him, to the company for the giving of notice to him. When a notice is sent by post, service of the notice shall be deemed to be effected by properly addressing preparing and posting a letter containing the notice and to have been effected at the expiration of 7 days after the letter containing the same is posted. When a notice is by advertisement, it shall be inserted in at least 2 leading national daily newspapers. Would a member please second this motion? Mr. Gafar Erin Folami. Mr. Gafar Erin Folami.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. I second the motion, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gafar. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on registrar to conduct the votes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Distinguished shareholders, kindly proceed to vote in line with your voting decision. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session has come to an end, and we have 117,885,347 shares, representing 100%, and all voting in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is the amendment of the Articles of Association of the company to include limitations of borrowing powers of directors. Members may consider and, if thought fit, pass the following special resolution. The Article 21 of the Articles of Association of the company be and is hereby amended to read as follows. The directors may exercise all the power of the company to borrow money and mortgage or charge its undertaking, property, and uncalled capital, or any part thereof, and to issue debentures, debenture stock, and other securities, whether outright or as security for any debt, liability, or obligation of the company or of any third party, provided that the aggregate amount for the time being remaining on discharge of monies borrowed or secured by the company and all its subsidiaries, other than interstate and apart from temporary loans obtained in the ordinary course of business, shall not, without the previous sanction of the company in general meeting, exceed the aggregate of the paid-up share capital and reserves of the company. For the purpose of the said limits, the issue of the debentures shall be deemed to constitute borrowing, notwithstanding that the same may be issued in whole or in part for a consideration other than cash. Will the member please second this motion? Mr. Gilbert.
Thank you, my chairman, for giving me the opportunity. I so second the motion. Ayola Gilbert.
Mr. Gilbert Ayola, thank you very much. I now put the motion to the meeting and call on the registrars to conduct the votes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will now commence. Distinguished shareholders, the voting session has commenced. Kindly proceed to vote in line with your voting decision. We have less than 30 seconds to go. The voting session is gradually coming to an end. The voting session has now ended, and we have 217,961,657 shares, representing 99.95% voting in favor of the resolution, and we have 99,002 shares, representing 0.05% voting against the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Registrar. I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Ladies and gentlemen, as there is no other business on the agenda, I thank you, the shareholders, all on behalf of the board, for attending this meeting and showing so much interest in your company's affairs. I'd also like to thank the regulators for staying with us and for engaging with us pre-AGM, during AGM, and I believe you'll continue to be our partners even after this AGM. I also want to thank all the professionals that have attended this meeting. I also want to thank, being a virtual meeting, the providers of the ICT for the very good job that they've performed. Lastly, I want to thank the company secretary and our team for a well and orderly conduct and a properly conducted AGM. Thanks for showing so much interest in your company's affairs. I now have the pleasure of inviting Bishop Sam Chidoka to please give us the closing prayer.
Shall we pray, please? Our Father and our God, we're grateful. Thank you for the grace and the peace and the strength and wisdom and knowledge you've given us to have this AGM. Thank you for our company, VFD Group. Thank you for the chairman. Thank you for the group MD and all the directors. Thank you for the staff. Thank you for the subsidiaries and for everything you've done and everything you've been. We pray that at this time next year, when we'll be having another AGM, all of us will be complete and none will be missing. We pray that the company will be in a better position in every aspect. We pray that as we leave here, we do not depart from your presence, but that your presence will continue to guide us and protect us. Thank you, Ancient of Days. In Jesus' mighty name we pray.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace, oh, back to honor it, and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant these our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed.